So growing up in the early 2000s, there's this sweet spot of growing up in the olden days and still being mixed with early technology. Like, for example, we had the Wii, the DS, the Xbox, and even really crappy internet. But at the same time, we were still allowed to be outside, you know? And, I just want to make a little quick pointer that I know I am not unique in this scenario, but I had the wondrous combination of having hyperactive and inattentive type of ADHD. So, I was just one of those stereotypical kids that would just not shut up, because there will be times where I would just be staring into the distance for minutes on end, and there will be times where I would just eat dirt. Why? I don't know. Because you see, not every day you hear a kid on how they accidentally get their parent arrested, So you can just imagine the little sliver of what my parents had to go through, because combining those two together can sometimes make a first-time parent a living hell. Because, that is exactly what I did to my dad. And unfortunately, my dad had to pay the price for being around me, I believe that I was around 6 or 7 years old at the time. And, as a kid, there was nothing really going on in this noggin of mine that I didn't really understand how consequences worked, nor that my actions actually caused anything, Because looking back on what I did to my dad was that I called 911 multiple times within a fraction of a minute, and that I accidentally made my dad look like he was kidnapping me. And look, I know that having ADHD doesn't really excuse anything, but the only reason why I called the cops was not because I was in danger or anything. It's the fact that I was bored.
No, all right. I know that sounds bad.
And I wish I had a better excuse, but the only thing that was going on was a lack of common sense. So where I am from, I am close to the desert, and I need you guys to imagine that this is happening during broad daylight, in the middle of a hot summer day, and by a gas station, by all the places. So you can already imagine the position that my father has to be in, because all we had to do was just to make one simple phone call, and that was it. And unfortunately, my father could not make that phone call because I had to ruin it. Like I said earlier, I grew up in the early 2000s, so we didn't have any cell phones, but what we did have were landlines. And at the time, our landline was not working, and I sound really old because our home phone looked like one of these. And our landline was not working, and we had to go to public, and we ended up using a payphone. Yeah, those. I'm really aging myself right now. And I don't know if it's just me, but there's just something about metallic payphones at the time that whenever you would press a button or insert a coin, they would always make this sound that would always draw my attention, Because not only that was a sound and the sole reason on why I got off the car, but it was those damn buttons that made me want to press those numbers, and that preceded me to call 911. Why? I don't know, because I didn't think. Did I always get distracted? Yes. Did I unintentionally unbuckle my seatbelt just to get off the car? Yes. Did I unintentionally press the wrong buttons because I thought the sounds were satisfying? Yes. Did I know what I was doing? No. So you can definitely tell that I did absolutely nothing wrong. Oh no, I definitely knew what I was doing. So you see, to put the cherry on top, where I'm from, I am the middle of nowhere banning. And in California, we have a thing called Amber Alert. An Amber Alert is basically to notify the entire California that a child is being kidnapped. So you can just understand between what I did and what the authorities thought of who I was, unfortunately. And so, with my zero common sense and with my inability to not understand my surroundings nor my happenings, I obviously didn't think that nothing would happen. But apparently the opposite happened, obviously, because calling the cops over and over again and hanging up multiple times makes it pretty suspicious, because my poor dad was just so busy with his work, and I just had to be there like, wow, I should really use a payphone and call someone because my dad is not giving me the 2 minutes of attention. Like, what? And as a 6 years old, I need you guys to imagine on how fast these cops were when they pulled up to the gas station, because at the time, I have never seen anyone run so fast in my life that it was just like that scene from A Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs where the police officer would just jump over the scientist. I forgot his name, but it was just exactly like that. And they proceeded to tell my father to put his hands on the ground, to put his hands on his back, and pulling out their weapons all at the same time. And you know, I was just in the middle of this chaos that I created that I didn't think that would happen at all. And I just didn't know what I was doing because, you know, naturally, I began to cry. I got so overwhelmed. Like, what else was I supposed to do? Like, and because I was crying just in the middle of all of this, the officer noticed that I was screaming for my dad, and they kind of got the hint that I was probably prank calling because, you know, I ended up confessing that I was just messing around. And obviously, all I can remember was just shame and guilt, and I was just there in my feelings that I didn't think that A and B would actually connect together or it would actually work. So at the end of this, everyone was mad at me, naturally. And so, you know, to tie up everything, these cops gave me a little taste on what would happen if I ever did this again. So yes, Your Honor, did I learn my lesson? I think I did. I think I'm free to go, right? I want to thank everybody for making it this far in the video. This is my first time making it super long. Like it took so much more time than I thought it would. I don't think my art came out as good as I wanted to because I ended up going to Fan Expo and I was doing all these other like social stuff that I'm trying to, like, you know, be more out there and just draw more often and trying to find another job at the same time, you know? But you know, it is what it is. I have reached 20K on YouTube. That is so exciting. Like, and I also opened up my Discord. So I have a couple of people in there that I'm having conversations with. We're having like art discussions and like they're submitting their OCs and, you know, like all the fun stuff. And, you know, I just love having conversations with you whenever I have the time. I am usually busy 80% of the time. So I'm trying to like have conversations like in Discord. It's just so much more easier if you have a question for me, you know? But I want to appreciate everybody who has made it this far in the video because it took so long just to finish this video. I know a couple of my students have seen my work and they come up to me and said, "Is this you, Miss Edna?" And I'm like, no, it is not me. I have never drawn in my life. Like, who would have thought? Like, but yes, my name is Etna and bye bye.